All right, you guys, welcome back to another episode of the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. I have a very special guest for you, Coach Glitter, aka Tiffany Lee Bymaster. I'm glad I got that all out in one
So
mouthful.
long.
If you don't know who she is, we're going to get into her background, but she is a makeup artist who's worked in fashion, who's worked in beauty, who's worked in TV, had a really amazing career, and now she teaches others how to be comfortable on video. And that is something that I think is so important for you guys. I hear it all the time in the Estheticians Connect Facebook group. I hear it, in online coaching and in events and all kinds of stuff. It's you guys know your stuff, but when the camera turns on, you freeze. And so Tiffany is absolutely the person to help you guys get over that fear. So Tiffany, thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited. Thanks for asking me to be here.
So first, let's just talk about your background a little bit, because I think one of the things that's totally fascinating, apart from all of your expertise with video and stuff like that, is that you are a makeup artist and you've really done this you've had an amazing career path. And I always say with estheticians, it's like, there's so many avenues that you can go in, there's so many things that you can do with an aesthetics degree. So let's talk a little bit about makeup and kind of your path with that.
I actually started off in wardrobe in fashion when I was still in college and had this amazing side gig. Didn't even realize that it was going to be a career path. I was in college. I thought I was going to go into law enforcement. I actually did for a few years. I know people like what I grew up watching 21 Jump Street.
Okay.
And I looked very young when I was young, and I just thought I was going to go that path, and I did for a few years. My degree was in psychology and criminal justice, and so for the first couple of years after college, I did go into law enforcement and quickly realized that the reality was very different than the virtual, the
21 Jump Street.
Yeah, the 21 Jump Street version that I had playing in my mind, in my very creative mind. It was just not going to be the lifestyle for me. So a few years of that, I was like, okay, not for me. But all that entire time, all through end of high school, college, I always had a love for fashion and makeup. And I didn't even realize how amazing I had it. So in the middle of like my sophomore year, I got recruited by St. John. They had they have a huge campus in Orange County that just opened up. And I met them through my job at Nordstrom. I didn't even realize how young of I was a top salesperson at Nordstrom, and I was 18. Didn't even know what I was doing because it was so fun. I didn't think of it as a job.
We have that in common.
Oh,
Nordstrom. Yeah, I worked at Nordstrom, and I worked at Nordstrom through college.
Oh my gosh.
I was like in college when, I'm 37, so I was in college a long time ago. But I was making like $20-25 an hour when my friends were making $5 and $6 an hour. Like,
oh yeah.
It was amazing.
I was a pace setter, and I worked in the department at the time. It's called gallery, not the gift gallery, but the gallery was back in the 90s where they had St. John and all of the like red carpet gowns. It was high end, and I looked like I was 12, but I sold those high end $3,000 St. John suits like it was candy. And that's how St. John recruited me. I went to go work for them, and I worked behind the scenes on their fashion shows. And so that's what got me exposed to the makeup artist, because I was like, what are those people doing? I want to do that. And so I just started dabbling in it and just did makeup on my friends, did photo shoots with photographers that I knew, just stuff on the side for fun. But that's how it started. And then when I really started taking it seriously, when I realized if you put me into a cubicle, I'm like a caged animal. And that was not going to be, I tried all the traditional stuff that you're supposed to do. And I quickly realized I was not made that way. And so I looked at the amazing things that I was already doing, making more money that I didn't even realize. That's working my booty off in corporate world, trying everything and making a fraction of that and hating it while I was making so much more money, working barely part-time. And that's what exposed me. So then I really took it seriously and said, this is not just a hobby. Your work can be fun. And I totally went that route with the whole makeup. Still did styling. I still do styling to this day. I do a lot of personal styling, and but the fashion is what got me exposed to the makeup. And then I really fell in love with makeup. So I've been doing makeup, oh my gosh, I'm in my 40s now. So over 18, almost 20 years, longer in fashion.
Wow.
And I started off in film because I really wanted to go big. So I worked in film for a really, really long time. And it's not quite, I mean, there were glamorous moments, but it's a lot of travel. And we always called ourselves like carnival people, because you just travel with the production company from city to city, different locations. And I just gotten married too. So I was never home. And that's when I transitioned to doing television so that I could at least be in California, but I was still working 6 days a week and 12, 14, 15 hours a day. And I did that for a really long time and loved what I did. But the cool thing with makeup and with aesthetics, that there are so many different avenues that you can take your business. You can work with production companies, you can freelance, you can work in fashion. So I loved the uncertainty of what I was doing, which has really helped me in my business today. So for all of your people in your audience who are their own salon owners, or maybe they have a space that they rent, that we can design our businesses and our lives whatever way we want. We are only limited by our own creativity. So I really liked that. I liked having seasons where maybe I would work bridal for a season during the peak times when I live in a destination city in Orange County by the beaches. And a lot of people, this is a huge wedding venue area. So I had a lot of business doing that. I mean, I just had different seasons where I can focus on different things. And I never felt not creative. My creativity was always being challenged. I was always doing different things. If you bore easily, it's like, take those seasons. Like right now, a lot of people say the summer season is slow for their business. Salon owners, especially with hairstylists and maybe estheticians, they're seeing that too. But you got to get creative. How do you get more people into your business? There are so many things that you can do. You can have them be more proactive with their skincare so that they're not damaging it in the summertime. Maybe sell more products or have, package different things. But I did the same thing. That's how I got exposed to so many opportunities, by taking chances, by doing things differently when I had a dip in business. Because when you freelance or you work for yourself, the one thing that you have to get used to is that nothing is a given, and there's no steady paycheck every 2 weeks in most cases. So you have to create those opportunities. But I started off with all of that. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question in here. How do you move past that fear? Because I see that come up in the Esthetician Connect group all the time. And, they're a solo esthetician or they're freelancing or whatever they're doing. And it does get slower in the summer because a lot of times, people are out with their families, they're on vacation, they're in the sun. So there's a lot of treatments that we can't necessarily do with, light lasers or chemical peels. You have to be very careful of sun exposure. So, you seem to have this really tenacious personality where you're going out and just not afraid to try new things. How do you move past that? Or what do you recommend for people that are like, oh, like, I don't know what else to do.
I'm so glad that's the perception, but it's not the reality. I am not the person. You will never, there's certain things I never say never, but it is highly unlikely that you're ever going to see me jump out of an airplane. I'm just not that kind of person. I am very, I take calculated risks. But I also know as a business owner that all the best things that have ever happened, and if you give yourself enough credit to pause and figure out and really reflect on all of the things that you have accomplished and overcome and figured out along the way to get to where you are today, we often don't pause to do that. And we don't see that we have already accomplished so much and we're so brave already. But the next thing, it's supposed to challenge you. So now I purposely seek out those things, but I'm not the first to jump in. I tiptoe towards the edge, and then I look down, and then I take calculated risks. So I'm the first to admit I've done a lot in my business, but the only thing that's ever held me back is not doing more of those scary things. And the more evidence I have of what I've already accomplished, it helps build that confidence to do the next thing. And I think everything that we do, whether it's like bravely showing up on live video or bravely putting yourself out there as a personal brand in the online space to build your brick and mortar business, all of it takes confidence, but confidence is a muscle. It's a skill. It's something that we can all build. And you can look at other people, maybe someone like me, and you're like, wow, she's done a lot. But I'm always really open and honest about, I am not the bravest person. I do it with the fear. I speak on stages now. I couldn't even have predicted a couple of years ago that I'd be doing what I'm doing today. But when you're open to the process, you're open to failing and knowing that there's really no true failure. You just either learn a way to do something or you learn a way to not do something. That's the beauty of what we do. But especially for all of the people in the beauty and spa and treatment industry, there are so many things that you could do that is completely different than what was working 5 years ago. And I think in order for anyone to be a true entrepreneurial spirit, to really embrace change, that you have to welcome it and you have to be one of the first to do those things, because you don't want to be a follower, you want to be the leader. And if you're following, especially with people who are in a spa or have their own salon or doctor's office or whatever it is that you're in, if you're just waiting for your clients to walk in one day or for them to pick up the phone and book you,
you're going to be waiting a long time.
Yeah, you're going to be out of business, because there are so many things that you could do to get yourself out there to be known that, yeah, it's a little scary at first, but don't focus on the negative what ifs, but focus on all the amazing possibilities of what can happen for your business. I've only been in the online space for 4 years this last May. I could not have predicted that this is what I would be doing. I love doing makeup. I love styling. I know, like my resume and my career path is so crazy. But now that I'm in my 40s and I look back, there is that common theme throughout all of those things that don't look like they have anything to do with each other. They actually do. Like, I always wanted to help other people. I always wanted to serve. I always wanted people to be better than they are. I always wanted to, now I look back and go, oh my gosh, we all have some kind of superpower gift. And one of mine that I finally figured out later in life is that I'm a total talent scout. And I don't mean like a talent scout for like actors or models, even though I did love doing that for fashion, but I'm a talent scout to see that greatness in other people before they even see it in themselves. And I didn't discover that in myself even, but I was so good at doing that for other people. And we often don't see our own magic until we do it repetitively or other people point it out for you. And other people had to point it out for me. And so I've taken all of those gifts, like as a makeup artist, I could look at somebody and I can, not transform them into something that they're not, but bring out their best version of themselves. I just happen to do that. Makeup. Yeah.
And that also, I mean, by making them look a certain way, it then makes them feel a certain way. And
Absolutely.
they feel like, I always tell the estheticians, it's like when you give someone beautiful skin or you're making them more confident, you're lifting them up. And so it's not this vanity thing. It's not this beauty thing. It's something you are enabling that person to be their best self. So when they go out, they're going to walk with their head a little bit higher and their shoulders back. And what else are they going to accomplish? Because they're confident in who they are.
And that's such a huge topic that I think people who are in the beauty industry should talk about a lot more, because it's not about the surface things. It's not just about the makeup application or the skincare treatment, but we see literally people's posture and their confidence come out exactly like you say. Like by the time you're done with them, it literally is a transformation in an hour after they, visit you. And so we need to speak more to that, because it's not the external, it's just what the external brings out internally from them. And when you feel confident, truly, that's what I've done my entire career. I just do it differently now I'm a camera confidence coach. And so I help people when I know that they're more confident, they already have the message, they already have the topics, they already have the expertise, but they just don't have the confidence to just start and then to become better. And so I just help bring that out to them, but they already had it within them all along.
So let's jump into that, because one of the things that I really would love for the estheticians listening to this episode to do is to take that step and get on camera and share their expertise, because they are experts. They do know so much. They invest so much in education. And if you just look through the feed of the Estheticians Connect Facebook group, it's like, these are smart women And they are keeping that to themselves because of fear, right? They're not playing big, they're playing small. And if you think about if you can get over that fear and put yourself out there, what you're able to create now on social media, it, everyone can be an authority. Everyone that is willing to step outside of their comfort zone can be an authority. And that alone can change your business dramatically. And it all starts with learning how to be comfortable and confident in yourself on
Right.
camera.
Right. And here's the thing. Most people that I know, they may, just like I said in the beginning, they may appear that they have it all together and they never have fears, but that's not the truth. I don't know anyone who shows up perfect and they're they're giving the perfect delivery or they're perfectly confident. I love that I still get nervous before every single interview. I love that I feel like I'm going to throw up before I'm going to get on stage and speak every single time. People don't believe me, but we were at a live event together last November, and Chelsea, who is the wife of the person that put the event together, was behind the scenes, behind the stage with me. And she really was like, do I need to get the bucket? Because that's how nervous I get. But once I do it, this is what gets me out of the fear. I focus on who I can serve. I focus on that one person, not, hundreds or thousands of people. If that's the case, great. But I focus on the one person who needed to hear my message today that I can help. And that takes it off of me and focuses on them. And for me, that's what works. And if you really think about it, if you really get into your body, the sensations and the feelings that you get when you're nervous they're identical to the ones when you're excited. So now I literally have brainwashed myself and all of my students to believe and tell themselves, you're not scared, you're excited. And it works. Because you're like, this is the feeling. So now you interpret it as adrenaline. Now you interpret it as a rush. Now you interpret it as your body getting ready to really show up for the world, to stop playing small and to serve just one other person. And that fuels me. That's what gets me to do so many videos. That's what gets me excited to do the things that by nature is not my thing. I'm a total introvert. I'm turning into a bigger introvert / hermit as I get older. It's rare that I leave my house anymore because I work from home. So, I'm always working from home but I still show up. And because every time I show up, I'm reminded by the comments and the people who are like, oh my gosh, I just needed to hear that today. Or even like sometimes we dismiss what we're doing because it's not just skin or just makeup or whatever we do, but we tend to dismiss what we do. But we are changing and helping and doing things for other people where we're saving lives in a certain way. We may not be doing brain surgery or heart surgery, but we are helping people. And when you help them to do something and you become known as the expert and the go-to person that makes other people feel amazing about themselves, and they're confident to get out there and go for that job or speak up for themselves or stand up for themselves, that's a huge thing. And we often forget that, but pay attention. Be really, really attentive to how your clients feel when they leave you. And a lot of times when we're doing the same thing day in, day out, and you're like, I did 6 faces today, or I had 8 clients come in. Sometimes we get into the motion and it's just muscle memory, but we're not conscientious. And I think it goes back to being grateful. Like every single day, at the beginning of your workday, at the end of your workday, think about what a gift it is to be able to do what you do and to
You
not
get
take it for
to do.
granted. That you get to do, not you have to do, but you get to do.
Yeah, I love that. And one really easy example, like we were saying before, there's so many variations of what you can do. You can do makeup, you can be a microblader, you can be, focus on anti-aging or acne or whatever. But like, I'm going back to acne because that was something that I really had a soft spot in my heart for a few years ago when I was practicing at Belisante. It's a med spa in Boston. And I had 3 clients in particular who I'm thinking of. One really who had like grade 3, like really intense acne. And he was this just brilliant guy. And for me, it came down to, so when you're in Boston, you've got Harvard, you've got MIT, you've got these like big schools, right? And I dealt with a lot of MIT people because my husband was going there. And I felt like, all right, there's all these really socially awkward people, but they are brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And they are not necessarily going to get the jobs that they need to get because they won't put themselves out there because they're scared or whatever. And it comes back to, so one of my clients, brilliant guy, attending MIT, major acne. He walked in every day like this. So
Oh yeah.
his head down, hair over his face. He wouldn't show up. And this is an extreme example because you don't have to go to MIT to be able to change the world. You don't have to go to any school to be able to change the world. You have to show up and be your true self to change the world. But I remember for me feeling, if I can change this guy's acne, if I can switch this around for him, then he can start standing a little bit taller. He can be more confident and he can go out and change the world. And that, I played a role in that, you know?
Right.
And it took about 8 months of regularly coming in and kind of collaboration between his dermatologist and myself, but we cleared him up. And
Wow.
that for me was one of the greatest accomplishments. Like I felt so proud about that. And it's like, that is changing someone's life, because think about what they're going to do. Think about the jobs that they're going to get and the just how they're going to show up in life. And every single esthetician listening to this, you have that same possibility. You know, it doesn't, it's, think about
Absolutely.
like for the, even if you're working in a day spa and you're like, oh, I just do relaxation facials. That is not a just. That is,
No.
as a mom of a 1-year-old who slept 3 hours last night, if I could just have a relaxing facial right now, my life would be, I mean, I would like love that esthetician forever, you know, because
Yeah.
it's such a gift. So you never know how you're impacting someone's life.
Right.
And but people cannot find you if you don't put yourself out there. And
Absolutely.
getting
Like
on
you got
social
to put
media.
yourself out there.
So why don't you share a couple of tips on how to do that? Like how to move past the fear and the literal, like sometimes people literally freeze.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they will stutter or they'll, you know, and it's like, you know, and they just can't, they can't do it. So what do you say to those people? How do they move past that?
Those are my favorite people because people don't realize, especially if they just met me, if they have what I call grew up with me in my online space. When I started online about 4 years ago with the intention of building my business, but prior to that, you know, I had a Facebook and Instagram, but I was just playing on it like for my personal reasons, for a personal account. But when I started building my business 4 years ago, I was never on video. It was just photos, and there were rarely photos of me.
Mm-hmm.
I only started putting photos of me just in the last year and a half. 2 years ago, when live video really came out into the scene with Periscope, that was the first time I did video. There were no videos of me prior to that. I love that someone else pushed me to do it. They're like, you have so much to share. Why are you keeping this to yourself? This is one of my top clients who happens to be one of the biggest online marketing people out there, a huge brand that I've been with for like 13 years. She literally downloaded Periscope on my phone that I didn't even know. And she turned it on and we were backstage at a huge live event. She goes onto the stage to give an award. I'm just standing backstage waiting for her. She hands me my phone and I'm live. She's like, oh, you're live. And I shared this out. She has a huge audience. I didn't even know how to do it. And I just stammered and I was like, hey guys. And then luckily she came right back. I didn't know that the video was still on because I didn't even know how to use the app. It was still on. I stuck it in my pocket because we had to rush out of the stadium to go to the car that was waiting for us. So for half an hour, that video was still going. And to
Oh
this
my
day,
gosh.
I can laugh. I wish I still had that video. But when Periscope first came out, that app was so janky. It didn't work really well. Like nothing, it only lasted 24 hours. And then
Okay.
after that, it would disappear. And I wish I had that video today because I've done over 1,000 live videos since then.
Oh my
But
gosh.
my first couple hundred were terrible. But the reason why I showed up, I realized, unlike recorded video, if you guys do both, or if you ever tried, recorded video is a totally different animal. I find it 10 times more difficult, but luckily through the power and the magic of post-production and editing, you could get all the perfect or imperfect words and the stammering and the stuttering out of the way. And I had a mental block with doing video in general. Like I had a stuttering problem up until the 4th grade and all through elementary school. And so when I get nervous, I'm a fast talker anyways, but I've gotten better at my speaking skills because I've done so many darn live videos that of course you're going to get better. And, but in that mindset, when I get nervous, that stuttering still comes out. But I realize in real conversations with real humans, we're not robots. That's how we speak. And
Right.
we forget what we're saying and you just make fun of it. You're like, oh my God, I do that all the time. You're like, oh, I think it's my thyroid. If you have like low functioning thyroid, like, I have brain fog today, or I have a 1-year-old and I didn't sleep. And
Yeah.
you just talk about it, makes you more real. No one's going to judge you and go, oh my gosh, you can't believe you shut up. And you, how dare you forget what you're saying in the middle of what, no. And I just bring attention to it and I laugh it off. And everyone's like, oh, she's human. She's not a robot. You don't have to be perfect. And I love live videos where it's really conversational, as if we're hanging out at Starbucks together and having an iced tea and we're
So
just
do
talking
I.
about nothing.
Yeah. And
That's
that's
what
why
makes it so approachable.
on this podcast, that's why I never send out questions to the people I interview. That's why, like I didn't touch up my makeup before I got on here. I have so many videos with my hair on top of my head because this is the reality of what it is. You don't always, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's
Yeah.
okay to hop on in between clients. It's okay to show, like, one of the things that I always encourage people to do, and if they want to do this on live video or not, it's like, show yourself getting treatments. Your skin is not perfect without getting chemical peels, or show the flaking, show the redness, show after post laser, and let people know that you don't just have perfect skin naturally because it's
Right.
genetic. You're doing stuff to make it that way. And
Yeah.
so live video is like that. It's like, hey, you're showing up, you're relatable, someone can connect with you. And that's the number one thing I feel as a competitive advantage between solo estheticians. If you are offering pretty much the same services, but someone can see a video and relate to you and connect with you in a different way, they're going to be so much more loyal to you as
Oh,
a person.
absolutely. Because let's face it, regardless of where you're living at, there's an esthetician or a spa on every single block. But we don't do businesses with logos. We don't do businesses with pretty buildings. We do businesses with people that we like and we trust. And
Mhm.
so first we have to know that you're known and you're there, and things like Yelp can help. But can you imagine if you're able to bring that Yelp review to life when they know ahead of time, even before they book the appointment with you, what you're like, what your personality is like. Maybe if you're, you just show what you do and you're super caring, that you're going to invite more people to you who maybe are embarrassed to even get their skin treated, or maybe they don't even know what it is that they need. And if you're out there educating your clients and speaking to them at their level, using the language that they're going to understand, you're already establishing that credibility and that connection even before they call to make the appointment. And I think that's the missing link. And there's so many statistics right now out there that show that if you're not using video as a part of your marketing strategy, then your competitor most likely is, and you're literally giving away your business.
Yeah. And I've seen that so for me personally, I was very resistant to Instagram stories.
Uh-huh.
And it's something that in the past, I would say 2 or 3 months, I've barely started dipping my toes into, because before I started my business, I was not a social media person at all. I was like, I had a Facebook page. That was it. I never posted anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say that I've been in business for 4 years now as well. Or this is my 4th year. And social media is the reason that my business is where it's at today. Is
Oh, me too. 100%.
by showing up on Facebook Live, by showing up in my group, by showing up in different places. That's how people know who I am,
Right.
And so often it's like, they know, oh, before I really started on social media, I was doing consulting with global skincare brands. So SkinCeuticals, Skin Medica, Sente, like these big, big brands. But when I would meet people, they'd be like, oh, you have the Estheticians Connect Facebook group, right? It's like not any of these other, what I would think of as like, oh, this great accomplishment. It's no, you have that Facebook group. And I love that Facebook group,
Yeah.
so think about like as a business, what you can do, use Instagram, show your stuff on Instagram, show up on
Oh yeah.
Instagram, show
It's the
yourself.
podcasts and social media are the best PR tools that we have as solo business owners or small business owners without needing the PR company or the millions of dollars to run commercials. I mean, even if you think of old school ways of advertising locally in your city, in your town, what that costs to put yourself into a newspaper or the local magazine, that's hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And who even looks at magazines and newspapers anymore, right? So you
Right.
have to get out of that old school marketing. Even if you're doing direct sales through the mail, through snail mail, that might still be somewhat effective. But imagine what you could do if you can reach literally tens of thousands. It may start with a handful, but it has the potential to reach tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people, regardless if they live where you're at or not. That's not even the point. By putting yourself out there, people will travel to you. People now, they say, because of social media, that there's no longer a 7-degree separation between people. It's a 1-degree separation.
Wow.
And that alone should make you excited to get out there, because we don't have those barriers that we had 10, 15, 20 years ago with connection, with widening our networking, that we can just literally jump online, put ourselves out there on video, and be able to reach so many more people. And that 1 degree of separation is what's going to get your friend that lives in a completely different city, state, or even country, that knows somebody where you live, and go, oh my gosh, I saw this amazing girl. You need to go to her because she's in your town. That is how easy and the possibility of building your business is. And for that reason alone, you should do it. But even on top of that, the opportunities that are out there for you to become an ambassador for another global brand, or to create your own products, we're not limited by anything anymore. And so by putting yourself out there, look at all of the estheticians that are now well-known, like famous social media estheticians who, if they had not put themselves out there on social media, they would not have the global brands that they have now. And, there's thousands of estheticians out there, but why do we know certain ones by their names? Why do they now have their own makeup lines and beauty lines and skincare lines and products that are not just in their own salons, but why are they now on QVC? And why are they able to sell right there on Instagram? And it starts with like putting yourself out there, maybe dipping your toe into a 15-second video. But even this past Monday, at the time we were recording this video, this summer, Instagram just announced that they are going to start testing longer video on Instagram. So Instagram is no longer going to be just a photo heavy or magazine quality platform that we're used to. They've already added the short videos. Now they have live videos. Live videos are still only 24 hours long and they go away, which is a really comforting thing when you're brand new. That might be a good place to start. Although on Facebook, you could always delete it, but I always tell people not to, because quickly when you do this consistently a few times a week and you do it all the time consistently, that you're going to build that muscle up, and you're going to be so happy when you keep those original videos up. If you look at Marie Forleo, who I love, she has her original YouTube videos up and they're not good, but she kept them up, and you can see that transition of, it's nothing happens overnight. If you look at professional actors, they don't start off being great as actors. They all progress and they get better. It's like learning a new language or learning a new skill. Were you a great esthetician when you first came out of esthetician school and you first got licensed? Probably not. Like, you're so much better with your technique. You continued your education, how you speak with your clients. You probably didn't even feel comfortable touching people in the beginning, but you build that comfort level. So again, think of all the things that you had to progress to improve. The same thing is true for video. But if you feel like your business is not progressing because you're not marketing it, and you should be worried, frankly, that if you're not making progress, there's no standing still. You're either moving forward or you're falling backwards. And it is not as hard as you guys might be thinking it. I think we overthink things far too much, and the reality is never as scary as, what we think of in our very creative minds. But if you start doing your videos, just plan ahead And I don't mean like sit there for hours planning out what you're going to say or script it. No, that's the opposite of what we should be doing on live video. But just like you said, in between treatments, if you've got 10 minutes, jump on and do a live and just talk about what you just did, or talk about like, there's so many, it's endless. The excuse of not having anything to talk about is an excuse, because that's not true. You have so much you can share. And the more you show up, when you start to build an audience and they actually know that your brand online, you become the go-to person that's known for whatever it is that you choose to become known for. That's your brand. So branding, I know that's something that I teach, and people get so confused because they overcomplicate it. Your brand is just your reputation. So if you are an esthetician, but you want to niche down and you're like, I want to be known for helping people with adult acne or cystic acne, and I want to be known as the person that does this one technique or two techniques, fantastic. Or maybe you're not known for that one little thing. You want to be known just for skincare, or you want to be the go-to person that's known for laser or whatever it is, microblading. Then be that person and show up for it, and constantly give and deliver and give little bits and pieces of content, and ask your clients, but your audience, what it is that they want. What is it that they have questions about? And if you don't know what to do next, you got to ask.
I think it's a great thing to get started is take 20 minutes, sit down, think about all of the questions that your clients have asked you.
Right.
Think about what they ask you regularly and what comes up over and over again, and break that into just Q&A segments. You can do quick 10-minute videos answering those questions. And that is a great way to come up with content if you don't know what to say. And you guys already know that content, right? Because you answer it over and over and over multiple times in a day. We think about like some of the most simple things. I used to always get asked, well, what's the difference between a physical and a chemical sunscreen? To us, that's a very normal, like, well, duh, like who doesn't know that? But to our clients, they don't understand the difference. They don't know the difference. And that is something that's a very valuable piece of content that you can share with your audience. So think about whatever your specialty is, list out 10 or 15 questions. And if you're feeling stuck and you don't know what to talk about, just go to that list, go to that list, hit go. And I think the moral of the story of what Tiffany has been sharing is just do it. Just put yourself out there. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to mess up your words. It's okay for it not to be perfect. The point is that you're putting yourself out there. And if you help one person, then that's so much better than, not doing anything. And that's what you have to think about is, who am I helping? Who am I serving? How am I making other people's lives better? And you know what? If someone leaves a negative comment or if someone judges you, they're not the kind of people that you want in your life anyways. Those are not the kind of people that you want for clients. And it really doesn't, just brush it off. Don't.
Absolutely.
It means nothing.
I think it's good to be polarizing. I think it's great to have an opinion, and not everybody is going to agree with your techniques or what services you provide. That's okay. They're not going to be your customers, so don't pay any attention to them. I always say just bless and release them, and then save the space and the energy for the people who do need what you want. But even then, it's really rare that happens. A lot of times we focus that, oh my gosh, people are going to hate me for my opinion or what I have to say or how I look or how I sound. I never see it. I rarely ever do. And especially on Facebook, I don't see it. Sometimes on Instagram, you'll get some random guy who's a troll, but they don't stick around anyways. Just ignore them. Or you can block them. I don't even bother blocking them. But, or just make fun of them. Like, okay, I know you're in your mother's basement right now. Are you having fun? They don't stick around at all. They're harmless. Like, truly just focus on who you can help. And I know that for me, when I started doing video, it literally exploded my business, like with no exaggeration. It took my business to a completely different level. It brought my business to a space that I didn't even know that I would be doing this. Makeup and production work this year is the first time that so far this year, I've done so little of it. I've got a handful of clients that I love working with, and I'll probably never let go. I would work for them for free because I love them so much. But I don't have to do that anymore. Now it's part of my business that I have designed this way, and my life. I don't have to work 14-hour days. And maybe you love what you do. I went into this loving what I was doing. I had no intentions of not doing production work, or not doing all the other things that I was doing with set design and working on campaigns and launches for other people in the online space, that I didn't even think that's something that I could do. So you don't even know right now what's possible for you until you put yourself out there and you're open to the possibilities. And that's the cool thing. That's so amazing. Like, we didn't even have a thing such as influencers a few years ago. We didn't even have people who were able to become household names because of YouTube or whatever social media platform. We didn't even have podcasts not that long ago to be able to talk about the things that we love and become the known experts in our space. So imagine what we already have today. And imagine, we don't even know what we don't know is going to be happening in the next 3 or 5 years. So get your practice in now, because I can tell you this, we don't know what it is, but I bet you it is going to be something with video. Yeah, video is going to be everything. It's already 80% of the content that's out there that consumers want and they're consuming the most of. And think of your own behaviors. Do you guys learn more from reading a blog, or do you learn more from watching a quick video? Or how do you get to know a brand? I had a blog for years, but people didn't know the person behind the blog until I started putting myself out there. And so think of the ways that you can create multiple streams of income for you. Just in my blog alone is like the truly semi-passive. There's no such thing as true passive income. You got to put some effort into it. But the only semi-passive income that I have is through my blog. And I have, even with not a huge audience, that's the other thing. I still don't have a huge audience, but I have a really, really engaged audience. And there's a big difference with being super popular and having hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, but maybe they're not your ideal customer. Maybe they're young girls that are not going to pay to go to you, or maybe they're people from other countries that are not ever going to see you, or whatever the case may be. But there's a difference between an engaged audience and having vanity numbers. And so even with my still smaller numbers, I'm still able to have a really huge thriving business, because I know how to market myself. I know how to put myself out there. And everything now, like my blog is video based. I write the blog, then I go to the live video about the blog. And then once the live video is over, I just stick the live video in my blog. And the blogs do so much better because the video is there, along with the photos and all the words.
Yeah, that's awesome. I hosted my first live event back in April.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was talking about at the event was using Facebook Live and then leveraging it. And so doing your video, downloading it, using that for your blog, transcribing the text, just putting it under there. So it's like, that's the easiest way to help increase SEO, for brick and mortar. It's like, you can tag your location, you can there's so many different things you can do. And it all starts with just doing the Facebook Live video. You eliminate the editing process, you eliminate all of that kind of stuff. And it's like one and done. You do that and you can use it across multiple platforms.
Right.
So
and that's
I love that.
That's totally key for social media marketing. How can we create one piece of content and then use it in multiple ways? And even more importantly, use it on platforms that don't die as far as engagement over time. The two platforms that actually have the potential to grow over time are YouTube and Pinterest. So I'm not a big YouTube person. I should be. That's something that should be a part of my social media marketing strategy later on. That's something that once you guys, get a VA or a couple of VAs, that they can repurpose your content. But Pinterest is literally on my blog. I hit that little Pinterest button and I put it on as many different boards as it makes sense. And that's where a lot of my traffic comes organically. So there's different ways for you to create that content, put it out into the world, and it's literally just spinning around, finding more people, and it's not dying, because we know that once you create a Facebook post or Instagram post, there's a peak and then it tends to die, and it tends to die pretty quickly.
Yes.
And so you want to be able to create the content, yes, but you want to also be able to literally not recreate it, but repurpose it and put it out there. And Pinterest for estheticians, oh my gosh, such an amazing place to build up organic reach. And I love that it's not a social platform. We're not there speaking to each other, so it's not sucking up your time, but it's a place, it's a resource. It's like
it's a search engine.
Yeah, it's a search engine. So that's where your content will bring new people, new eyeballs. I've had so many pins go viral over the last 4 years. I didn't even know it. And so as long as your links stay the same and they can get back to your Facebook page or your website or your blog, it's bringing in new people all of the time.
That's amazing. So this has been filled with like nugget after nugget
So
after
many.
nugget. I know. So I know that you guys are going to want to keep in touch with Coach Glitter. So I'm going to put all of her links to her social media, to her website, to all of that stuff. Be sure to follow her on Instagram and everywhere to really stay in touch, because she teaches some very, very valuable stuff that you guys are not going to want to miss. So I hope that this episode has really encouraged you to go out and try Facebook Live. Be sure to leave a comment in the Estheticians Connect Facebook group. If you guys are doing this, you need help with this, be sure to tag me in your post, whatever you want in your live post too. I'd love to watch that and support you. But just go out there and just do it. That's
Start.
the start. One
Just
step.
like Nike.
Yeah.
And Instagram, I'm playing around with Instagram right now, and it's painful to be a beginner, but it's one of those things you're not supposed to be good. Like Facebook, Facebook's my jam because I've been doing it for 2 years, but Instagram's newer, and I do Instagram Live and I feel like a beginner again. So it's a good thing to remember what it feels like, because I know how my students feel. But Instagram, I love that. The cool thing about the Instagram Live is that you can have people that are watching jump on with you really easily. Yes, you can do that on Facebook, but it's a little bit more complicated. But on Instagram, you could just host a Q&A. And once you are known for something, that takes a little bit of time and consistency to show up. And then your viewers will show up as well. And then when they become brave, then they'll jump on with you. And you can just be that go-to person and create a weekly show, knowing that you're going to show up at the same time, same day, if it's possible. Then you'll get more viewers on and they'll go live with you. Or in the beginning, if you're like me, you just answer questions for me. And then sometimes you invite people and you get 6 people on. And sometimes you invite people and you get nobody on. But that's just how it is in the beginning building stages. So definitely experiment with that. But really keep yourself open to the possibilities of what's happening with Facebook Live and Instagram Live. Even if you don't have a big audience at first, it's a blessing, because that's the time for you to improve and just learn how the app works. And over time, you will build an audience.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so, so much for your time and for all of your expertise. And I know that everyone's going to love this episode.
Thanks so much for having me. It was fun.